In today's video, I have a follow-up to a video that I posted a while back regarding Tiffany Henyard. For those of you who are not familiar with the situation in Dolton, Illinois, here's a real quick recap. Tiffany Henyard is both the supervisor of Dolton Township and the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, hence the self-proclaimed supermayor title. In 2013, she started out as a trustee for the city of Dolton, and at that time she had some failing restaurants and was a shady landlord who was alleged to have used her connections to pass inspections on homes so that she can collect Section 8 benefits without actually taking care of the property, more specifically a very serious mold infestation. In 2018, she indicated that she wanted to run for mayor, and it was at that time that she started the Tiffany Henyard Cancer Foundation. Now, in my last video, I broke down why I thought her charity was a scam. I have a follow-up to that and facts to back it up. We'll get into that a little bit later in the video. In 2021, she went on to defeat independent candidate Ronnie Burge, winning approximately 82% of the votes. Now, I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that she was giving free gas to the residents during her campaign.
In South suburban Dolton, and one mayoral candidate kicked it off by giving away gas for free.
And whenever you tell me you need something, I show up and I do it by giving gas.
Tiffany Henyard enthusiastically pitched Sunday's free gas giveaway on her Tiffany for Mayor Facebook page Saturday. 24 hours later, the takers showed up in droves. The press release touting the gift of free gas stated essential workers would be given priority, but anyone with a Dolton address would be eligible too.
So as mayor, she hired the infamous Dorothy Brown, who was riddled in scandal in her own right, as the village manager, a position to which Keith Freeman will eventually take over. This is when everything went completely out of control. Now, she made changes that included firing the police chief and anyone who opposed her, if they questioned her antics or even threatened her credibility in any way. She also hired a registered sex offender who just got out of prison for a brutal attack on 2 young girls as a code enforcement officer. Now, a big part of this man's job is to interact with residents and actually enter into people's homes. She managed to bring the city deficit from $2 million to $7 million, and I'm sure that there's a lot more to that if we're only able to see the spending reports that she's refusing to release. Her salary is almost $300,000, and she made sure that if anyone defeats her in the next election, they will get a 90% pay cut, but if she is reelected, then she gets to keep her own salary. She spares no money on billboards and self-promotion. She's been alleged to have spent money on everything from expensive trips, fine dining, first-class flights, to a personal stylist. She spent upward of $60,000 on wigs, a DJ. She bought a $90,000 SUV and financed it at a horrible interest rate, leaving the city to pay $150,000 for it. She spends about $25,000 a month on PR for herself and for her own image alone. Many of the remaining police officers have been taken off of the streets and brought on as her personal security detail, accompanying her on trips and getting thousands of dollars in overtime. It's been alleged that she retaliates against the residents who don't support her by denying them business licenses, denying permits, and intimidation tactics. Also alleged that she's behind a former employee's home being shot up due to an ongoing feud that was happening between the two of them.
Do you think she's a hero or a villain?
A villain. She is spending all the village of Dolton tax dollars and Thornton Township, which is part of the village of Dolton.
This is Valeria Stubbs, a vocal critic of the mayor, who believes her home was shot up at the request of the mayor, stemming from a bitter feud they had last summer. Asked if she believed that Henyard was behind the shooting, Stubbs did not hesitate. Absolutely, told the New York.
So if you're not willing to pay to play, then your business or your life could really be in jeopardy. She's in cahoots with the tow company, charging people upward of $700 to get their vehicles out if they'd been impounded. And tow company does not pay taxes, by the way. That's a whole nother story. She's attracted national attention and is now being investigated by the FBI. Sorry, I said that this is going to be a quick recap, and I know that it's a lot to take in, but there is a lot more to come. We've only scratched the surface, guys. Thanks to channels like the Individual Investor, who does some incredible deep diving into the situation. I've got a lot of information from him, and I highly recommend that you follow his channel. So of course I'm going to put the links in the description. Let him know that I sent you. Now, the Chicago area is infamous for its corruption, even before Al Capone. According to a recent report, on average, Illinois has had 41 corruption convictions per year. The report, co-authored by University of Illinois at Chicago professor and former 44th Ward Alderman Dick Simpson, is based on an analysis of the public corruption statistics published by the U.S. Department of Justice. And that should be no surprise to anyone. Some of the more popular forms of corruption that you'll find in Illinois include perjury, sex offenses, bribery, misuse of taxpayer funds, embezzlement, and forgery, just to name a few.
They say that Illinois has the best politicians that money can buy. Now, if you follow First Amendment auditing, then you would know that tackling the south side of Chicago, to me, is very personal. But aside from that, it's got some of the worst corruption in the world, and you can tell that just by the audits.
Okay. I don't want it to stop recording. Why are you doing? You're a big boy.
Will be Charles Union 12590.
You understand?
For what?
Get going.
For what?
Get going now.
Why are you going to arrest me?
You're going to get arrested. I'm telling you right now.
I've already dealt with your sergeant.
You already know that.
I've already dealt with your sergeant.
I'm giving you fair warning. You keep following us, you're going to get arrested.
I'm allowed to follow. Now you're following
me. You understand? They're fucking dealing with something serious. I'm telling you, you're going to get arrested.
For what?
Put your fucking hands behind your back now.
For what?
Put your hands behind your back.
For filming?
You're doing something suspicious, and we need to know who you are and why you're doing it. Okay?
Are you familiar with the First Amendment?
Yes. I am.
Really?
Put your hands behind your back. Come on.
Update.
In my first video, I pointed out that I thought her charity was a scam. I am 100% convinced that she created this foundation to promote herself while she ran for mayor. Since my last video, it's been announced that the Attorney General gave her a deadline to turn in financial statements. So here's the loophole. She does not claim that it is a charity.
I understand they sent a cease and desist letter to your foundation.
I don't know nothing about that. I'm not crazy. I'm not
You have
deranged.
Tiffany Henyard Cares, your foundation. So the Attorney General's office hasn't reached out to you regarding your foundation?
So I want to set the record straight. I don't have a foundation. I am a supporter of anybody that's struggling with cancer. My mom had breast cancer, and I'm always push anybody that has that. If someone uses my name to push their charity, or if you say this is Tiffany t-shirt, people gonna buy it. Because right now I'm considered what? Clickbait. People make money off of my name by views. So you just say my name.
You say you don't have a foundation.
I do not. And that's why I tell everybody, go do your research. I'm not on anything.
So I'd asked you before we went to the break. I talked about again this charity and the Illinois Attorney General's office. This is from CBS affiliate there. Says that the accusation comes at the same time the Illinois Attorney General's office told Henyard's charity multiple times in recent months to stop improperly soliciting donations because it had not registered with the state as required by law. And you say that's not your charity.
Correct.
Okay. So were you ever? So show the video here. 'Cause I'm trying to understand this here. So this is a video of you marching with the charity. So what is this?
So what they're not telling you is we literally walked to Springfield to create a bill to help anybody that suffered from cancer, whether it's the village of Dolton, Thornton Township, and then I increased it to the state of Illinois. And that bill will help people by giving them $10,000. And that's a bill that we actually are initiating, and we're still working on it.
FYI, the bill was never introduced, and the lawmakers weren't even in session at the time.
She calls it a foundation. The Attorney General investigates charities to protect donors. There's no real evidence that she collects any money from people. Even her billboards, and flyers, there's a QR code that only leads to a place where you can buy shirts. And even websites are inactive and they lead to nowhere. There's literally no place that you can actually make a donation. She did, however, approve a donation of $10,000 from her township. Now, automatically you would think it would be a conflict of interest, but no. First, Tiffany's not named anywhere on the foundation. At the time of the foundation, it was owned by Keith Freeman. And at the time of the walk that they did, Keith did not work for the city or the town. So that's actually when Dorothy Brown was still the village administrator. So because of that, there's no conflict of interest. No laws have been broken. Ethically, yeah, it's not even a great place. Like it's a horrible thing ethically because it's done absolutely nothing for the city. In fact, for her one fundraising event that we saw, or one event to get the people together, that we saw, it actually ended up costing the village somewhere around $100,000. Because what they did is they ended up getting hotel rooms, they ate food, they used city resources, they used people, they used employees, they used vehicles. Everything was paid from the city. On October 23rd, Tiffany went live during the march, and Dorothy Brown was the village administrator from May 2021 to December 2021. From the very beginning, it's been told that Dorothy's there for a short transitional period. I believe that the plan was to have her the administrator, while Keith Freeman was going to take over after that. And I believe this was all intentional and probably Dorothy's idea. Update, Keith Freeman is no longer the head of the foundation. The new agent is a man named Victor Oski. Now, Victor is an agent for a number of businesses. A lot of those businesses are called Rock Island. Now, a number of the Rock Island businesses are actually owned by someone named Kamal Woods. Now, allegedly, Kamal is a married man, and he is also Tiffany's boyfriend. In addition to being Tiffany's boyfriend, he has a job within the township as a youth director, making more than $100,000 a year. Now, that, in my opinion, is where the conflict of interest is. Now, it appears that they have held only one event, and that was the walk from Dolton to the state capitol in Springfield to present a bill that would give cancer victims $10,000. To me, the bill seems very weird and frivolous. And then looking at the bills, there was a $20,000 bill for t-shirts. And this is going to be important later on. But keep in mind that whoever was hired to print the shirts, they made off with a lot of money. So I'll get back to that. And because they're proposing a bill, they could actually label this event as government function for tax purposes. All things considered, this foundation is looking more and more like a promotional scam. And speaking of promotional scams, let's talk about the self-promotion and advertising within the city and township. Now, everywhere you go, you're going to see her name, her face, whether it's driving down the street, checking out the website, or looking at mail from the city. So now let's talk about Keith Freeman. Keith Freeman is a very interesting character who tends to stay behind the scenes, but I think he has a lot more control over the situation than we think. His political career started in Robbins, Illinois, under the administration of Mayor Tyrone Ward, who himself has been quite controversial. Like Tiffany, he currently double dips, working for both Dolton and Thornton Township. And in addition to that, he owns a number of businesses. Well, kind of. The cities actually use his business for many of their promotional advertising needs. For instance, his company named Collab is tasked with producing the city newspapers. And guess what else he owns? Now, remember that $20,000 bill for t-shirts that I mentioned earlier? Well, his business made t-shirts. I'm guessing that he does not have the equipment to produce that $20,000 worth of shirts, so I must assume that he outsources that. That's quite a lick for a middleman.
It actually makes a lot of sense considering his background in print and marketing, and his wife's background.
Moving forward from that, it looks like Tahoe Tiffany got exactly what she wanted. Fame, or infamy rather. With that fame came an abundance of reporters, journalists, etc., and people around the world that are interested in what's going on in Dolton. And many of the trustees, former employees, and residents are finally being heard.
But wait! There's more!
And do you know what else is being heard? A former trustee who was in Vegas. She made allegations that she had unconsensual and unprotected sex with a current trustee.
After reporting what happened to the mayor, she eventually was fired. It's also alleged that the security detail who reported on it was also retaliated against. The city of Dolton has 3 male trustees. One of them did not make it to the trip. After looking at the credit card receipts, it alleged that it could only be one possibility. Nothing's been confirmed. Now remember, this is only an allegation. I hope and pray that the residents of Dolton get the justice that they deserve, as well as the mayor. I hope she gets the justice that she deserves as well, and all her cronies. But I have to say, I don't have a lot of faith in the system. It's very, very difficult to charge, yet alone convict, a mayor or a politician, especially in a town like Chicago, which is very well known for its corruption. And you think it's bad at this level, wait till you go a little bit higher. It gets worse the higher that you get. Once you're talking about the judges and things like that, it can get really, really tricky to break through that good boys network. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everything. And if you're not already a subscriber, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.